In the world of sports, there are arguments, there are debates, and then there's this debate. It's the one question that has pretty much dominated barbershops and sports talk for over a decade. And believe me, it is not going away anytime soon.
For literally millions of fans, when you ask who is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the answer really just comes down to two names, Michael Jordan and LeBron James. We're talking two absolute legends, two different eras, and two legacies that are just colossal. So where do you even start? How do we settle this thing? Well, let's break it down. So, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll dive into the big philosophical debate at the center of it all. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the numbers, the tale of the tape. After that, we'll look at the ultimate proving ground, the NBA Finals. Then we'll expand our view to their impact beyond the court. And finally, we'll get to the real core of it. What even makes someone the greatest?
When you really boil it down, this whole argument often comes down to a really fascinating question. What's more impressive? Reaching the absolute highest, most dominant peak imaginable, even if it's for a shorter period? Or is it maintaining an insane level of elite performance for like 2 decades straight? It's peak versus longevity. And that, right there, is the battleground.
Okay, let's get into it. The numbers. For a lot of people, this is where the conversation starts and ends. We're talking raw stats, awards, all the data that fuels this fire.
So, for anybody in Camp Jordan, the argument often kicks off right here, with this number, 10. 10 scoring titles. Let me put that in perspective for you. The next closest players are tied with 4. It is an absolutely absurd, almost unbelievable display of just pure offensive firepower.
And on the flip side, you have LeBron James, who has just 1 scoring title. But, and this is a big but, his supporters don't see this as a knock on him at all. Actually, they see it as proof of his incredible all-around game, which, as you'll see, the stats definitely back up.
And yeah, this table right here tells that story perfectly. You can see Jordan's edge as that pure, lethal scorer and that relentless defender. More points, more steals. But then, look at LeBron's sheer versatility. He's way ahead in rebounds and assists. And check out how close those MVP counts are. 5 for Jordan, 4 for LeBron. It is a total clash of styles.
All right, so let's move on to the place where legacies are really made, right? The NBA Finals. I mean, regular season stats are one thing, but how you perform when all the chips are on the table, that is a whole different ballgame.
And this, right here, this is the trump card for Team Jordan. A perfect 6-0 record in the NBA Finals. Think about that. 6 trips, 6 rings, 6 Finals MVPs, and he never even had to play a Game 7. For a lot of people, this is it. This is the slam dunk, the definitive argument that he is the GOAT. It's the ultimate sign of a win.
But it's not just about the final record, it's also about how they played on that stage. Jordan was just an unstoppable scoring machine in the finals, averaging almost 34 points a game. But then, LeBron supporters will point to his numbers and argue he had to do so much more. He had to be the primary playmaker, the leading rebounder. He was carrying a totally different kind of burden for his teams.
And this quote right here, this is the ultimate rebuttal for the LeBron camp. That 2016 comeback, it's considered by many to be the single greatest upset in finals history. Coming back from a 3-1 deficit against a team that won a record 73 games, it's an absolutely legendary moment that his fans will hold up against Jordan's perfect record any day of the week.
You know, the GOAT debate these days isn't just about what happens between the lines anymore. It's also about legacy, about influence, and about an athlete's impact on the entire world. So let's zoom out a bit and see how these two giants stack up off the court.
And what you see here are two fundamentally different approaches to stardom. Jordan was a true pioneer. He helped make the NBA a global game. He became this massive commercial phenomenon, like we'd never seen, completely revolutionized the sneaker world, all while keeping his private life intensely private. LeBron, though, he really embodies the modern athlete activist. He uses his enormous platform to talk about social issues, he opened a school for at-risk kids, and he invests heavily in his community.
This quote, this is probably the most famous one attributed to Jordan, something he later said was just a joke, but it really came to define his public image during his playing career. He was, for the most part, apolitical. He focused on his sport and on building this brand that appealed to absolutely everyone. It was an incredibly successful strategy, but he did get some criticism for that neutrality. And then you have this. In stark contrast, this quote from Dr. Michael Eric Dyson really gets to the heart of what makes LeBron so different. His willingness to jump right into these complex, often difficult social and political conversations, while at the absolute peak of his fame, well, that's a huge part of his legacy, and it's something that sets him apart from Jordan and from a lot of athletes who came before him.
Okay, so we've looked at the stats, we've looked at the rings, we've looked at their off-court legacies, we've heard the cases for both sides, and it all leads us back to one huge, fundamental question.
So what really is it? What is the ultimate way to measure greatness? Is it that flawless, untouchable peak of dominance? Or is it the 2-decade-long reign of excellence? Is it all about the championships? Or does what a player does for the world off the court count just as much?
When you make the case for Michael Jordan, you're making a case for sheer perfection. It's about having the undisputed greatest peak we've ever seen. That perfect 6-0 finals record, a competitive fire that was second to none, and becoming a global cultural icon who took the sport to a whole new level.
And the case for LeBron? It's all about unprecedented longevity and a massive scope of impact. You're talking about a statistical monster for over 20 years, a guy who won championships with 3 different teams, and a social leader who completely changed what it means to be an athlete with a powerful voice.
In the end, this debate is so much more than just picking between 2 basketball players. It's really about how you, yourself, define greatness. So what is it? Is it the height of the peak or the length of the reign? The unstoppable force or the immovable object? I guess the choice is yours.